You're listening to this week's episode of the Vacation Rental Business in Today's World podcast. You're about to start transforming your business and life with the information found here. We interview some of the greatest and most influential minds in the vacation short-term rental industry and supporting businesses. The information found here is a combination of brain science, transformational thinking, safety and loss prevention, and vacation short-term rental knowledge and experiences, all rolled into one to help you and your business to achieve levels you never thought possible. I am glad you are here, and now please welcome your host, Eric Thibodeau.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Safer VRS, and happy 2023. I'm Eric Thibodeau, your host, and I'm glad you're here. So I hope everyone had a great holiday season, Christmas and New Year's. I've been back in the U.S. now, and I've finished my work in Egypt and looking forward to working in all things vacation rentals and vacation rental safety, and looking forward to it. It's really been good so far. You can probably hear I've been suffering with a little bit of a cold through this holiday season. I guess the cold and the now warm here in January has kind of gotten me not feeling 100%, but I'm still here working to give you an update on what's going on. And I hope you have a great 2023. And to do that, I'm not going to talk today about safety related or topics. And what I'm going to talk a little bit about is the reciprocity of life. And that's giving and receiving. And I believe we hear this quite a bit. And I've spent some time over the last couple of years really focusing on that. And I would say I don't necessarily have a word or something for 2023. However, I do want to embrace this reciprocity of life of giving and receiving in 2023 is something I'm going to work and live by. And I wanted to share that with you. You know, this whole giving and receiving is not something new. I learned it through some ancient wisdom called Ayni. It's Mayan. And it's this whole part of giving and receiving completely, and something I've worked to come by and live by. So here's a quote I'd like you to focus on, and it's something I've taken to heart. Here we go. It's by Albert Schweitzer. The purpose of human life is to serve and to show compassion and the will to help others. I'll read that again. The purpose of human life is to serve and to show compassion and the will to help others. First time I read that and sat back with it, closed my eyes in silence. Silence is really a great way to focus on things or to just eliminate noise in your life and let things come to you. And when I read this, I let this come to me in silence. And I came to the conclusion that since I was about 15 or 16 years old, this was how I was living my life. I didn't really completely know it at the time. I knew I was serving. I knew I was providing compassion, and I wanted to help others. That's why I joined the fire service. That's why I do everything I've done through the years. I spent 20 years. I made a commitment for 20 years to, serve the church. I was a religious education instructor in the catechism of the Catholic Church in different parishes as we've moved around. I made a 20-year commitment, to make sure our kids got through all of that through their education in the church. And so I focus on this morning about this living to serve, compassion, and helping others. And it really boils down to this reciprocity of life, of who we are, what we're doing, right? Not everyone will choose this, certainly. However, this is what I've chosen. This is why I'm here today. It's part of serving, right? Serving is what I do. I do it through safety. I've done it through the church. I've done it through H&R Block. I've done it through numerous activities and charities, and I continue to do that to show compassion and to help others. And this whole part about Ayni, this reciprocity of living life and giving. When I said I started looking at this a while back, I found that I was a real good giver, but I wasn't a receiver. And how do I notice that? Basically, when people would say, hey, I'm going to buy dinner, I'd say, no, I'm going to buy my own, or I'll buy. And, I wouldn't receive. I wouldn't receive. I hear thank you, but I wouldn't fully receive it or embrace it. And so in the last couple of years, I focused on that and said, hey, reciprocity of life is just not giving. It's about receiving what others are providing for you or to you, because they are giving as well. So when someone gives, you have to receive. When you receive, someone else is giving. When you're giving, someone else is receiving. And this whole giving, receiving is hopefully without attachment. We are in the service hospitality business, right? So we give, we do expect to receive some compensation for that. However, we find the most successful in our industry are giving, and they're receiving monetary benefit, but they go above and beyond. And then I'll just say again back about, we tend to be in this industry a lot of givers, but I'd like you to reflect too on how are you receiving what others are giving back to you. And I'll say why it's important is because, it's this reciprocity, right? Reciprocity is equally giving, going back and forth, this whole cycle. So when you don't receive well, you potentially interrupt someone else's giving. And I had this email a few weeks ago where someone recommended my Safer VR services. And I reached out and I thanked them and I said, hey, I'd like to, provide something back to you. And they said, no need to do that. And it didn't bother me a lot. However, I felt the reciprocity of that relationship was interrupted. I received what they gave and I wanted to give back, and they said no. And I appreciate that. And I did feel it, that relationship and that whole cycle may have been interrupted. I didn't let it deter me, but I did feel like, hey, I'm going to talk about that because I've been on the other side of not receiving well. And I thought it's important to take a look at that, is that when you don't receive or don't fully receive what someone else is giving, then you're interrupting that flow. And for you, it may not be a big deal, but for the person who's wanting to give it may create stress or problems in what they're doing. Okay. So part of relationships is giving and receiving, right? So out there's givers, there's receivers, there's people who are takers too, right? They will receive 100% of what you give them, but they won't give back. And I'm not saying they have to give back. However, this whole reciprocity of life, of giving and receiving, is interrupted. And so there are certainly times in our lives where sometimes we are in a position that at the moment we're not able to give, and that's okay. We all experience different ups and downs in the cycle of our lives. However, one of the things we found is that givers are 100% responsible for fostering their relationships. So givers want to foster the relationship with those they're giving. Those who say, well, I'm going to match, like 50%. So if you give me something, I'll give you something equally back. And then we have takers who they have zero responsibility for fostering relationships. So this all gets down to relationship with our guests. It could be relationships in a business situation. It could be our family, our spouses, our children. Everything is about giving and receiving in this reciprocity of life. And what I've learned over the years, that most people are in relationships because of what they can get from them and what the relationships will do for them, not how they're really truly serving others. And most people in business do not serve to serve, they serve to get. So as we enter into 2023, I challenge you to look in your own life about how you are giving and receiving, and how in your business you are giving and receiving. And are you serving just to get? And don't get me wrong, I understand we have businesses and we serve to receive monetary compensation. However, are we really serving to serve? From my standpoint in Safer VRs and the vacation rental industry, this is a passion. I do it because I love it. I serve to support. And a lot of times I understand and I know from my past experiences is I serve and I give and people receive and I receive thanks. But I also know that at times in my life, I've given my services and people live. People are around the next day for the next 30 years. And how do you say thank you for that? I receive that and know that I will not always receive that thank you. Or a lot of times, particularly when I was in the fire and ambulance service, I may never have met that individual or family again. However, I know that they're thankful. And even if they're not thankful, I'm giving because I'm serving, like I'm serving today in the vacation rental industry, serving those who need safety and loss prevention, because we desperately need it in our industry. Our guests need it, our businesses need it, you and I need it. And so this is what I'm focusing on this year in 2023, this relationship, reciprocity of life, giving and receiving without attachment. And I encourage you to get in the silence, to think about that. And how does that impact your life, right? And I believe this is something that will improve, and it doesn't always change right away. Things don't change quickly. Don't make this like a New Year's resolution. Make it of how you want to change and incorporate your life. And over time, it'll grow. So with that, I'll leave you there. Look forward to hearing from you at safervrs.com on our vacation rental pages, Safer Vacation Rentals. And we'd love for you to join our Awakening Vacation Rental Safety group. It is a paid membership. And right now the fees are fairly low, and we're going to be increasing them here probably in February. So we look forward to having you join. We can work together in this reciprocity of giving and receiving. Go out and create a safe day. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Safer VR's podcast with Eric Thibodeau. If you enjoy this, I would love you to join my Facebook group, The Safer Vacation Rentals, for more of the same. You can also join our email list at www.safervrs.com.